Hey guys, my name is Javel, and in this video series I'm going to show you how to use React among other technologies to create this financial dashboard. If you haven't seen the previous video, the link is in the description. That video focused on creating a CI/CD pipeline with Git, GitHub, and GitHub Actions. In this video, I'll show you how to implement the navigation section. The main technologies that will be used are Material UI and React Router. I'll try to make this video as quick and as simple as possible because I don't want to waste your time and I want you to learn a lot. If you have any questions or any suggestions, comment below and I'll be more than happy to respond to you. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this. Let's get started. In this video and in the subsequent ones, I'll be using Git and GitHub in the development process. All my changes will be on a particular branch, Git branch, so you can follow along by checking out each branch. Right now, I'm on the staging branch. Let's first pull the latest changes from GitHub, Git pull. Then let's check out a new branch called navigation, Git checkout -b navigation. Now, this application that we're building is made up of several components. React is all about components. So let's first identify them and then create them in code. Here we have a sidebar or navigation component. Inside we have several menu items. In the source folder, let's create a components folder to store all our components, mkdir src/components. In the components folder, I'm going to create the navigation.js file and the menu items.js file. Touch navigation.js and menu item.js. In the navigation.js file, I'm going to create a React arrow function component, give it a placeholder text, save. And in the menu item.js file, I'm going to do the same. In the app.js file, I'm going to remove the coming soon page. Let's create a different component. And let's import our navigation components like this. Open the integrated terminal and run npm start. And there is the navigation. We are using Material UI to create our components, so let's install it. Go to materialui.com, click Get Started, and follow the installation guide. Copy the npm install command. If you're using Yarn, you can go ahead and copy the yarn add command. In the integrated terminal, paste and run the command. While this is installing, let's follow the remaining instructions. Copy the Roboto font link and paste it in the index.html file above the title tag. Let's also copy the font icons link and paste it above the title in the index.html file. We also need the Material UI icon package, so let's install that. Now that we have Material UI installed, let's use it. In the Components API listing, let's find the drawer component. The API page gives you information on how to use each component. Make sure to also check out the demo page for each of the components we use to see a sample or an example of how we can use each component. Let's copy the import and paste it among our imports in the navigation component. Place the drawer component inside the navigation component, and inside the drawer component, let's add an image tag with our logo. So when I save this and navigate to the browser, nothing appears. The drawer component has two important properties: variant, which is temporary by default, and open, which is false by default. Let's set the open property to true. Now you see the navigation component or the drawer component opens over the page in a temporary fashion. For now, to match the design, I'm going to set the variant to permanent. Make sure to use the API page as a reference. Here you can see the variant and the open property and all the other properties that you may find useful. Now let's style the image. We're going to use Material UI's styling solution. Material UI provides three solutions. We'll be using the hook API. Material UI has a make styles hook that we can use to achieve our styling. Make styles is a function that accepts a styles object. In our object, we want to create styles for our logo. This key represents the class or the class name. Its value is an object that has or will have all of our styles. We want the width to be 50%. Make styles returns a hook. Let's assign it to a custom hook conventionally called use styles. By calling use styles in our component, we can get the classes. Then we can apply the class with the logo style to our logo image. To center the image, I'm going to wrap it in a container, a div container. Let's define a class, navigation, logo container. And apply the class name to the div. Classes dot navigation logo container. Let's give it a display of flex, justify content, enter, align items, enter. Okay, we're gonna need to change the width of the navigation section. Create a class with the name navigation drawer. Set the width to 240. Then assign that class to the drawer component. When I save, you will notice nothing changes. Maybe the drawer is already 240 in width. Let's increase the width to 1000 to see what happens. The drawer still hasn't changed its width. If you inspect the page and select the drawer, you'll notice that the width of 240 is not applied anywhere. The drawer component is made up of parts, an inner div and an outer div. Or you can say it has two aspects, a paper and a root. If you click on the outer div or the root, you will see the style with 1000 pixels. The inner div or the paper is the visible part of the drawer, and that's where we want the style to be applied. Target this part or aspect, we have to use the classes property instead of the class name property. The classes property takes an object with a key associated with the part of the component we are trying to target. In this case, it's the paper. And the value will be our class. There you see the width increases and the style is applied to the inner div or the paper aspect. On the API page, you will see the keys for each aspect of a component that you wish to target and apply styles to. Here you can see paper. It's a good idea to create a file for our styles so that you don't clutter our component file. So in the source folder, create a styles.js file. There we will define all the styles and export it. Back inside the navigation file, we'll import it. And everything still works as expected. However, we need to change the width back to 240. There we go. To create the list of menu items, I am going to use the list component from Material UI. Right below the logo, let's add the list and place the menu item inside. Don't forget to import the menu item. The menu item should accept as properties a label, an icon, active icon, and a path. In the complete demo here you can see the menu item has a label, an icon, an active icon, and a path. The path is what appears in the URL when you click each menu item. Let's create the dashboard menu item. The label is dashboard. The path is the home path, which is just a /. The icon will be the dashboard icon. An active icon will be dashboard icon active. These icons need to be imported, so let's create a folder in the source folder called assets. Let's copy and paste our assets. You can download the assets from the GitHub repository. Let's import the dashboard icon and the dashboard icon active. In the menu item component, go ahead and import the icon list item icon, and list item text from Material UI. Destructure the properties that we passed to the menu item, label, icon, active icon, use the list item component to create our menu item. Inside the list item, we have the list item icon. And then the icon component with an image with the icon value as the source. We can set the alt property to the label. After the icon, let's use the list item text component. Set the primary property to label and the primary typographic props to an object with the option variant of body 2. Here we have the menu item. I can see the label, but I'm not seeing the icon properly. Let's fix that. In the styles, create a class called menu item icon. Set the width to 100%. We have to assign this class to the icon image. There we go. We can see the icon. When a menu item is active, we should see the active icon, and the background and the label should appear darker. Let's create a state to manage when the menu item is active. For now, set it to true. So when it is true, we need the image source to be the active icon. If it is false, then we should use the default icon. Now we need to apply some style to this item for the active and defaults state. This item will have two classes, menu item and menu item active. The menu item class should be the default, and the menu item active class should be used only when the active state is set to true. To achieve this, we will use a package called CLSX, which is a utility for constructing class name strings conditionally. Let's install it. Let's import it. And pass our classes to it. So the menu item class will always be used, And the menu item active class will only be used when active is true. This is implemented using the following syntax. Like that. Let's add the styles to the classes to see the effects. Set the menu item width to 80%. Border radius 8. Margin bottom 8. For the menu item active class, set the background color to a shade of gray. And now you see the menu item is in an active state. When I set active to false, the menu item should be in the default state. Let's set it back to true. To center the menu item, let's create a class called navigation list and apply it to the list component in the navigation components. In the navigation list, set the display flex direction column and align items center like that. Now the first menu item is complete. We could copy this, paste, change label to accounts, to slash accounts, change icon to accounts icon, and accounts an account icon active. Then import the icons. There's a better way to get the other menu items in the navigation section. You can create an array with objects that represent each of our menu items in a file called routes in the source folder. Let's create that file, routes.js. Let me copy and paste the array. So here we have the routes array. The objects inside the array will represent each menu item. The objects have the label, path, icon, and active icon properties. Let's also import the icons. Now in the navigation file, let's import the routes. Let's delete these imports. Let's delete this menu item. Now we're going to map each menu item object to a menu item component. So now the label will become routes.label. The icon will become route.icon, active icon, route.active icon, and the path will become routes.path. The sign up menu item should appear at the end of the navigation section To achieve this, we need to create a component above the sign or menu item to create some space. In the styles, let's define a class with the name navigation spacer and give it a style of flex1. Then inside the navigation component, let's wrap the menu item in a fragment. Then we need to check if the menu item that's being rendered is the sign-on component. To do this, we check the path. If the path is /sign out, then we need to render a div and apply the navigation spacer class to it. This had no effect because if we check the navigation section, you'll notice the height is based on its content. We need to expand the navigation or the navigation list, it's the list, so that it expands the full list. So inside the styles, let's add flex1 to the navigation list. And there we have the sign out at the end of the navigation section. Let's tweak our styling solution a bit. For the border radius and the margin, you can set a value that looks good, but a better solution is to use the Material UI theme spacing helper. You can access the spacing helper by passing a callback function that returns the style object in make styles. Then you'll have access to the theme argument, which has access to the spacing helper. Now we can use the theme spacing helper to create consistent spacing between the elements of our UI. Let's add some styles to the logo. In the navigation logo, set cursor to pointer. In the navigation logo container, set padding bottom to theme spacing 6. Let's remove the border. In navigation drawer, set the border to none. Let's make the menu items appear as buttons. Add the button prop to list item. Let's add the toolbar to collapse the navigation section. From Material UI, we're going to need the icon button component and 2 icons, the chevron left icon and the menu icon. I have already gone ahead and made the Material UI imports. Create a div within the drawer above the logo to represent a toolbar. Inside the div, add the icon button And inside the icon button, the icon. Let's make the icon appear on the right side of the navigation section. Inside styles, define the navigation toolbar class. Display flex. Justify content flex end. Align items center. Padding right, theme spacing 1. Let's also apply material UI's toolbar styling, which is available on the theme mixins object. Apply the class to the toolbar div. In order to collapse the navigation section when we click the left chevron icon, we need to create an open state, a function to toggle the open state to true or false, and styles to style the collapse state of the navigation section. In styles, define a class with the name navigation jar collapse. Set the width to theme spacing 9. In the navigation component, create the open state with the use state hook and set the initial value to true. Create a function to toggle the open state to true or false. The function will be called toggle navigation. In the jar classes property, the navigation jar collapse class will be applied when the open state is set to false. Here we will use CLSX to achieve this logic. Set the jar open property to the open state. And apply the toggle navigation function to the onClick property of the icon button. Now we're able to collapse the navigation section. When the navigation section is collapsed, we need to change the left chevron icon to the menu icon. We also need to change this version of the logo to the second version of the logo. You may notice that when you scroll horizontally in the navigation section, the label for each menu item is visible. Also, the height of the menu item icon increases because the side note label is wrapped. Let's make the changes to switch these components and fix these issues. In the navigation component inside the icon button, display the chevron left icon if the open state is set to true. If the open state is set to false, display the menu icon. You may notice that the menu icon is not entered inside the navigation section. Let's fix that. Let's define a class called navigation toolbar collapse. Set justify content to center and padding right 0. Inside the navigation component, apply the navigation toolbar collapse class to the toolbar div if the open state is set to false. Here we will use CLSX again. Let's switch this version of the logo to the other version of the logo. Let's grab the logo from the assets folder instead. The next logo is logo 2. When the navigation section is open or when the open state is set to true, we use logo 1. When it's set to false, we use logo 2. Let's fix the height of the sign note menu item. In styles, inside the navigation drawer class, set the white space to no wrap. There we go. Fix the horizontal scroll. In styles, inside the navigation drawer class, set overflow X to hidden. In order to navigate to different pages when we click on a menu item, we need to install package React Router DOM, and we also need to create the pages. Let's first create the pages. Inside the source folder, make a pages folder. And inside the pages folder, let's create our pages. In each page, let's create a React component and add a placeholder text. In the routes file, let's associate these pages or components with each menu item. As you see, I've already imported the pages. You should also import them. So the routes menu item has another property, component. And the component associated with the dashboard menu item is the dashboard page or dashboard component. Let's do the same for all the other menu items or routes. The sign note route does not have any component associated with it, so I won't add a component property to it. Let's go to React Router DOM website. Click web, and let's install React Router DOM. While it's installing, let's look at the example given to us. It's pretty simple. Here you have a navigation section. We already have our navigation section. And then we have a switch component, and inside the switch component, we have several routes. Now the route that is rendered, which will render a page, will depend on the URL path. So for example, if the URL path was slash as a boat, then the component inside this route with the path or slash a boat will be rendered. Let's copy this example. Inside the app component, let's paste it here. Let's remove the navigation section or the nav tags and replace it with our own. Let's remove this comment. And let's remove these two routes. We will be mapping each route object in the routes array to a route component, and inside the route component will be the component associated with the route. Don't forget to get the React Router DOM imports. So when we click on the menu items, the page should change, but nothing is happening here. That's because we forgot one important part of React Router DOM. When we look back at the example, we can see that the link component is used inside the navigation section. We need to have this component inside our navigation section. The menu item, we need to change the list item component to the link component by setting the component property to link. Then we can set the to property to the path. When I click on a menu item, we can see that the path is changing, but the page doesn't seem to be changing. If I go to the app component and comment out the navigation component, we can see the dashboard page, but we're on the secure path. To fix this, all we have to do is add the exact property in the route component. There we have the secure page matching the path. Uncomment the navigation component. To have the pages appear beside the navigation section, we need to define some styles. In the styles, let's define the app root class and set the display to flex. In the app component, get the classes from useStyles. Then apply the appbar class to the outermost div. I've made a mistake here. Instead of classes, you should use class name. Next, move the navigation component outside of the inner div and let's apply some styles to it. Inside the navigation drawer, let's set the position to relative. Then set the height to 100 VH. Okay, to make the menu item active only when we are on the associated page, we need to use the use location hook from React Router DOM and the use effect hook from React. In the menu item component, import use location from React Router DOM and import use effect from React. I'm also going to import use state so that I don't have to specify React when I call use state down here. So let's just remove React. Let's get the location by calling use location. Then define the use effect. Inside the use effect, we're going to use the location. The location has a property called path name that we can use to compare against the path that's being passed inside the menu item component. So we're going to use this comparison to set the active state to true or false, depending on whether or not the location path name matches the menu item path. Let's set the location as a dependency of our use effect. If you check the demo, the sign out menu item is always active. Let's do the same here. If the path is equal to sign out, then we set active to true. And then return. Now the sign out menu item is always active. So we've completed the navigation section. However, it's not mobile responsive, as you can see. So in the next video, I will demonstrate how to make it mobile responsive. Thanks for watching.